Hey, what's up everyone? I'm Colby from Sanitarium Productions. In this episode, we're actually taking a look at the Outless, can't really figure out how to pronounce that, 2-pack 36 grig jewel and bead case storage container. So I've actually been looking for a while to try to find a good solution for storing like Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, and I found this product here, and it actually does a pretty good job of it. It does come in a 2-pack, which is the way it arrives here, in a nice kind of weird Ziploc bag here. I'll put a product link down below. You can check it out on Amazon. You get 2 of these for about $10, which is a really good deal. But this is basically what you get. It's a nice clear plastic container. You have 2 clasp lock lid things here on the side, a nice little hinge joints on this side, and just flips open, and you've got 36 little grids to store whatever it is that you want to store in it. But specifically, I got these to hold the Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. And as you can see, these things fit very well in there. They're basically just the perfect size for these 28mm miniatures, and it works great. The cool thing about it is that these dividers are actually expandable, so you can take and expand these to be as long as you want them to be. So if you have some slightly bigger miniatures, let's say for instance these Ninja Turtle constructing things that we did in a previous review, they don't quite fit in a single one as it stands, but you just remove, we'll say this one right here, we'll go back to this one, remove this one single thing here, and these actually just fit in here really well, like so. And so you can store larger miniatures in them, which is pretty cool. These do come in double little things here. These dividers are by default the 2-pack here, so you get actually 2 spaces, but you can just rip these things apart and clip them, and you have your single dividers if you just need to move one of them, and then you just kind of lock them back into place. But you just kind of break them apart, and then you've got a single divider there, which is really cool. But anyways, they work really well. They're really great for these Dungeons and Dragons things. So what I thought I would show you here, if I can move this stuff out of the way, is I actually got these specifically, or more specifically, to do the Dungeons and Dragons board games with. So we've got the Wrath of Chardalon box set here, which you can also check out the review, the unboxing of this in a previous episode. So I got all the miniatures in here, which we'll look at in just a second. While we've got the box on here, you'll notice that it does add just a little bit of extra height. There's about maybe an inch that it adds to the actual box itself. I'm still working on better ways to keep these things organized, but for the miniature side of it, this works really well. So let's just go ahead and slip this case off. And as you can see here, we actually have some other things in here that we can look at later, but specifically we've got this one big case here full of the miniatures for the Wrath of Chardalon. So this case actually fits all of the ones that were included in the box, except for the large Chardalon figure itself. But like I say, it's an easy way to keep these things organized. It's really easy to go in here after the fact and pick out the miniatures you need for your whichever cards you draw out for the actual set itself, which is really cool. But let's go ahead and just open this thing up a little bit. So we have all of them in here. We've got the regular player characters up here at the top. They fit in here singularly. And there's also room for the dice in here as it stands. We've got a couple of these spots like this one here that we actually ended up putting a couple of these into. So these gibberine mouthers, we actually ended up putting 3 of those in one single slot, which is really great to kind of keep these things together. Some of these larger ones don't quite fit in doubling up on them, but most of them actually do. And these smaller ones like these right here, these Cobalt Dragon Shields, actually all fit in here really well. And you can kind of see here, we've kind of got them all spaced out. We tried to double them up as best as we could. And we've got some of these larger pieces like this Cave Bear actually fits in here really well also. Kind of have to move him around a little bit to get his beak to go in there. The one thing I did run into was, so like down here at the bottom for the Rage Drake, it's a little bit longer than most of these miniatures, so I actually had to pull out 2 of these little divider pieces to make room for it. But it fits in there really well and works perfectly. This big one here, this Otyugh, or whatever he is called, as you can see, he is much larger than all the rest of those. So I did have to modify this one just a little bit. Again, I took out one of these double dividers here. But this center piece here, or the first piece from the bottom, this vertical stripe here, it's actually a solid piece and it's actually made into the plastic. So I actually had to go in there with a knife and just cut that piece out to make room to span this one. But it turned out and it worked really well. This guy fits in here. He's still a little bit big. The actual stand itself sticks up a little bit more than I wanted, but you're still able to close this easily enough and still latch it, which is great. You can kind of see just a little bit that it does kind of start pressing up against the base of the miniature, but it's not really that big of a deal, to be honest with you. But it keeps all of them in here nice and secure. You can shake them around. They're not really going to move around too much, so they're not going to get damaged. They're also not going to be rattling around inside of here. So if you're traveling with the game itself, it makes it very easy, gives you a lot of confidence that you're not going to have any damage to anything as you are moving about. So yeah, these things are pretty awesome. It does have 36 straight up compartments. You can get at least 36 characters in here. Again, if you have duplicates of some characters, you can double them up or triple them up in some cases and get 2 or 3 of them in there. So I actually have one of these holding the majority of the smaller miniatures for the Waterdeep campaign, the miniature set for that. The one thing is that it will not hold a lot of these larger miniatures. It's mainly for your regular sized miniatures or your slightly larger ones. So regular, and I guess it's the large base ones that this works pretty well for. It won't work for any of the huge ones, like with the actual Ashardalon figure. In this particular set, there's no way you're going to get it in here. So it's going to have to stay in the box. But beyond that, it's really cool. I can't really recommend this thing enough. Again, they're pretty cheap. $10 for 2 of them, so $5 a piece. Yeah, it just works really great. So check out the link below. Go out and get you some of these things and start using them with your D&D campaigns, because they are really awesome. They do fit very well like in a backpack or something like that. So if you want to just dump a whole bunch of miniatures in this thing, shove it in your backpack, take it on the go, it just works out really well. So yeah, these things are awesome. If you've used anything like this before, drop some comments down below to let me know what it is you're using instead of these. I'm always interested in things that I can do a little bit better. If you haven't, go try these things out. These things are pretty awesome. So if you'd like to see something specific for future episodes, let us know that as well. And until next time, game on.